Welcome to What's the Buzz, the podcast that spotlights local business leaders, bold ideas, and the heartbeat of the South Shore. Produced by Marshfield Community Media and recorded at South Shore Hive, each episode features authentic conversations that inspire, inform, and energize. Whether you're starting out, scaling up, or giving back, this is where connection meets community. Buzz by and see what's happening. This episode of What's the Buzz is brought to you by Cote Law Group, trusted legal counsel for today's business leaders. From startup formation to contracts and corporate guidance, they're here to help your business thrive. Okay, hi everybody. What's the buzz? Valerie McSorely here for another episode of one of South Shore's movers and shakers. And today I have Julie Foster here with me, who has become a new fast friend. Julie Foster is a life and grief coach, and she owns A New Path Consulting. So, Julie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Valerie.
It's awesome to have you. I didn't know that someone like you exists. I really didn't know. I mean, we all are familiar with life coaches, but the grief part of it. Tell me more about your journey to get here.
Yes. So I became certified to be a life coach a few years ago. And part of that program was how to build the business as well. And so we talked about our niche, and my heart kept going to grief. And that was because I had lost my mom to glioblastoma in 2018. And I thought I knew I would know how to grieve, and I didn't. And it was very shocking to me how little supports there were out there for grievers. And I had to search high and low. And it really shocked me how it was an uncomfortable conversation for other people to hear about my grief or talk about theirs. So just became really curious and became a student of grief, I like to say. And I just tore through books and podcasts and papers, studies. And so I became grief recovery method certified. And I will, as of next week, be Grief Educator certified as well.
Wow, amazing. Well, first of all, I'm sorry for your loss, but talk about taking great pain and putting it into purpose, right?
Exactly.
That's an amazing transition that you've done for yourself. So, and I had no idea you could be certified in these things. So look at you. That's amazing. Talk to me about what you said, like the grieving process is very difficult, and it wears a lot of different hats, and it's not the same for everyone, and people don't really know how to comfort you, and you don't really know what you need yourself. And grief doesn't have a timeline.
Yes.
You don't get 3 days off from work and you're better, right?
One of my biggest pet peeves is 3 days bereavement time. Correct. Grief is different for everyone. It's like a thumbprint. Everyone grieves differently. Everyone has their own timeline. There are lots of expectations we receive from society or family or strangers even about where we should be, how far along we should be. And that there's no real, that's not real. That's not kind either. I think people generally want to be kind and helpful, but what grievers need is somewhere to be seen and heard and understood, somewhere to just let it all out without being judged, or we can't fix it. Grief cannot be fixed. And I think we're a society of fixers. So that's why it becomes uncomfortable, because the person on the other side of the conversation wants to fix it, wants to say the right thing, wants to, oh, stop crying. I didn't mean to make you cry. But actually, tears are really healthy. And letting it out is actually how you get better, or how you feel better.
Well, that's a tricky thing. And I could say from experience a couple of things. Like, you want to reach out. You want to be there for someone. It's sometimes awkward. You don't, I've thought, what if they're not thinking about it today? Or what if they're having a good day? And then I go and reach out, and then I send them in a place they don't really want to be, and that's uncomfortable. So that's something that is a little hard to maneuver. But on the other side of it as well, having people, I went through a a great loss about a year and a half ago with the loss of my grandmother. And we were extremely close. She lived to be 100 and she was, we have a very special connection. And it's really hard to lose someone that profound in your life. And at the same time, people want to support you, but there's really nothing that feels right at the time. It's nice to have the support around you, but you have more of a program. Can you tell me what you take people through?
Yes. Thank you for asking that. I'm a grief recovery specialist, and that is through the Grief Recovery Institute. And I've been trained to help walk people through an 8-week process. It is more of an action-based program. I think a lot of times we have a lot of energy from grief that we don't know what to do with, and so we want to do something. It's hard to think, oh well, with time, I'll feel better, or, you just have to feel the feelings. And that's true, but a lot of people want an action to take or something to do to feel better. So that's what this program is. And so I walk alongside somebody through this program. We use a book as a guide. We meet once a week, whether it's in person or virtual. And there's a little homework on either side, and then we come back together and go through that homework. And it's like peeling a few layers of the onion back to kind of look a little bit underneath your grief. And we do a lot of looking at the messaging you might have received as a child or about grief, and looking back at how you might have processed grief in the past, in not so healthy ways, and how we can move forward in healthier ways.
So I really like that there's a process, that there's a timeline, because sometimes when you start to see someone or, therapist, or you reach out for, it's like, it could just go on and on and on. I like that you have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yes.
And that I think is important, because you know where you're going and there's a light at the end of the grief tunnel.
Yes.
And then I also like that you have a tactical part of that, where you have a book and you have homework, and it feels like a very cohesive process that you put together. I love that.
Yeah, and I'm someone who likes structure and organization. My brain works better that way. My nervous system works better that way. So if you're someone like that, like me, who is looking for a process and concrete things to do, that is a good fit.
Right. You got to do the work. The only way around it is through it. There's you can't avoid it. You've got to go through it. You can put it off a little bit. It finds you. Grief just sneaks in when you least expect it.
It is so true.
And it just finds you, and you maybe aren't as good as you thought you were. So you shared something with me once in one of our conversations that I had not heard of. Can you talk a little bit about grief brain?
Oh, yes.
I had never heard of that before.
Yes. So grief absolutely affects us physically. It doesn't just affect our hearts and our souls. It really has an effect on us physically. And you might have heard, like, after a spouse dies, and then there's like broken heart syndrome. Although that's kind of cliche, there actually is scientific proof behind that because you're stressed. Losing someone is stressful to your body. It changes your entire life pattern, your behaviors, your habits. And so your body is saying, and your brain especially is saying, like, hey, where is that person that we used to have breakfast with every day? Or, the one that took out the trash. And your brain is still looking for all those cues.
When you go to make the phone call.
Yes. Your brain doesn't know that person is no longer there. And so that absolutely affects your brain processing. And people might relate to feeling like you're moving through mud, or you feel like everything's just cloudy and can't think straight. And that can go on for, a while, a year or two, even after a loss. And a lot of people come to me and say, why am I still so tired? And why can't I get out of my own way? It's been a year. And I'm like, oh, honey, you're just in the beginning phases. And that's, your body reacting.
Well, that's a good point. So from what I understand, when do people usually present to you? When should they actually start to think about that they might need a little bit of help? So, obviously the first stage is so acute and people think, oh, it's, a couple months later, I'll feel better. But what does that really look like? What's the typical entry point for you?
Thank you for asking that question because it's very important. I think that people who are in the initial phase of like shock and what just happened and how is my life so different now all of a sudden. And that can be in the first 3 months, 6 months, a year. And I don't think I'm the right person to help somebody in that phase. I think that, and this is just my opinion, I think that a therapist, a counselor is probably more helpful in that crisis phase. So I find the most ideal timing for me to work with clients is about 2 years after their loss. The dust has settled. The casseroles have stopped coming. The flowers are gone.
The food chain.
Yes, the food. Yes. And those are all kind and thoughtful ways that we want to help and support our friends and family. But after all that has gone, and grief is very isolating. I find that to be a very lonely period after all of that has gone away. And so I think people who get the most out of working with me, I'll say, are 1, 2, 3, a lot of times 10 years out from
really that long. Wow. It's a huge identity shift.
Exactly.
It's a huge identity shift. Who am I now? I was married for X amount of years. I was with this person, or this was my, my parent. It's a huge identity shift.
Yes. And that can be true for career changes, job loss, empty nesters. All of a sudden, your purpose of raising children and all that comes along with that is now they're in college or they've moved out, and who am I now?
Oh, that's interesting. So you deal with different types of grief beyond just death. So loss of a relationship, loss of a child. Well, obviously loss of a job, business. Interesting.
Any transition in life, I find, has so much grief in it that we don't acknowledge, we don't process, we just move on, which we think we move on. But it stays with us.
Stiff upper lip.
Yes. Just keep going.
And everyone thinks you're fine because you look fine and you show up and you've got your lipstick on and you're out the door and you're doing great, but maybe you're not. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Well, so how can people learn more about you and where you're located, and tell me all the details? Because I think a lot of people need what you offer, and you're the first person I've met that does this.
I have an office in Kingston. It is part of the Nourish Collaborative, and that is a wellness collaborative with many different holistic practitioners. I am just one of them. So my office is at 431 Country Club Way in Kingston on Indian Pond.
Is that right by that beautiful country club, right? Yep, right across the way.
Yeah. So the beautiful big banquet hall that as you pull up the hill is on the top, and we're right to the left, the building to the left.
Okay, great.
And then I also belong to another wellness collaborative in Norwell, and that is called Still Within. And that's on Washington Street in Norwell. I'm only there on Mondays, but it's another place to catch me. And you can go to my website, anewpathcoaching.com, and find out all the information and request a consultation.
Awesome. Well, Julie, thank you so much. What you're doing is so important and really is changing people's lives and making them feel better, which I think is something we all want to feel. We all want to be our best self, right? So
it's true.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Valerie.
All right, everybody. Thanks. This episode of What's the Buzz has been brought to you by Cote Law Group. We thank you for your generous support. When it comes to wills, trusts, and estate planning, they're the team you can trust.